Thank you. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, so the light can be only on me. Hello again. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be part of this conference, which it has been happening here in Atlanta for so many years, and it's always very enlightening and very educating. I'm going to approach mediumship from the Spiritist point of view, right? We talked a lot before about mediumship in general, mediumship as a way of helping us in our lives. But now I want to focus on mediumship, the role of the medium in the communication of spirits in a Spiritist center, right? So I want to focus on the work that Spiritism does and the Spiritist center should do in the mediumship meeting, right? So to start, let's think about what are the purposes of mediumship. We talked about mediumship, a lot about mediumship here, but let us think about what are the purposes of mediumship, right? The most important purpose of a medium is an opportunity to serve, right? We talked about this. Use your mediumship to help others. Without charity, there is no salvation. That's what Spiritism teaches us, right? So, salvation from whom or from what? Salvation from ourselves, from our inferior tendencies, from our imperfections. Without practicing charity, we are causing harm to ourselves. Of course, mediumship is a link between the two worlds, the physical world and the spiritual world. And the medium is an opportunity to serve as a bridge between these two worlds, right? They also bring the proof and foreshadowing of the spiritual world. So they bring what happens in the spiritual world, like many of the books by these famous mediums that we mentioned before, but also they give us knowledge, guidance, and above all, faith and hope on us eternal spirits. It gives us an opportunity to learn from the discarnate spirits, right? Because they are bringing messages to us. And gives us an opportunity for spiritual improvement. Jussara mentioned in her presentation, right, the opportunities of growth that mediumship allows us. By the way, if you like the poem that she had at the end, her book Transcendence, the first part is testimonials from spirits that were received during our mediumship meeting. And then the second part are some poems that she received as a medium. Her poems are psychographic. So if you want to look, we have the two versions in Portuguese and in English of the book called Transcendence, right? You have some copies there. So let's talk about to be a medium in a Spiritist meeting. What types of mediums and communications we have. First, let us define how does the different types of mediums, right? I'm going back to Luis and use the example of the computer, right? He was trying to charge the computer and you had the power outlet, right? So there are three types of mediums. There are the conscious, the semi-conscious, and the unconscious. The best example that I learned of how to differentiate these three types of mediums is through the computer. That's why I'm going back to Luis. So let's say I'm having a problem with my computer. You know, we always have problems with our computers, right? And I cannot solve the problem. So I need a technician to help me solve the problem. So I call Luis. Luis, I need help to fix my computer. So what's going on with your computer? I said, well, this is going on. And then he tells me what he thinks the solution is, and I go there and I fix the computer, and he keeps telling, now I think you should do that, and I do that. This is the conscious medium. He's telling me what to do, I think about what he tells me, and I do what he's telling me. That's how the conscious medium works. Receives the message from the spirit, goes through the brain of the medium, and the medium expresses the message. The semi-conscious. So, I call Luis, my computer is not working, I need help in fixing, and Luis tells, press this one, press the other one, press the next one. So he keeps telling me what to do, I keep doing it without thinking much, but kind of knowing what I'm doing. Not exactly, because I'm just doing what he's telling me to do. I'm not thinking, but I'm doing semi-consciously what he's telling me. That's the semi-conscious medium, right? It's the one that kind of knows what's going on, kind of knows the message, but normally remembers the message after it finishes. Doesn't remember during it, remembers by the end. And the unconscious medium, so I call Luis and I tell him, my computer is not working. And he said, let me take over your screen and let me fix from my side. So I'm there looking at his work, but I'm not doing anything. So this is the unconscious medium. But one thing very important, I'm looking at my computer and I can see what he's doing. Anytime I can interrupt him if I want. I can eliminate his interference in my computer. So the unconscious medium has the ability of controlling the mediumship, the message he or she is receiving. So that's the unconscious medium. So these are the three types of mediums that we have, and I think it's important for us to define them in terms of understanding how a medium works in a mediumship meeting. I've been part of a mediumship meeting as a dialoguer, as I mentioned before, for more than 25 years now. Marcia was going to ask for us to talk about a personal experience, right? So I'm going to put that in my presentation now. When I started in Miami. We lived in Miami for a couple of years, and I started going to the mediumship meeting there. And I was training to be a dialoguer, right? When I concluded that I was not a ostensive medium, so I couldn't work as a medium, which is the objective of most people that start to study mediumship. They want to be a medium, and as I mentioned before, that's not the most important role. There was a medium receiving communication, and week after week, the medium would only cry. The spirit would come, and the medium would cry, wouldn't say anything. What a training for a dialoguer, right? Because you have to create everything, you have to say, there's no interaction. It's on a one-way street. So that was what I was going to tell about my personal experience. Anyway, going back to the mediumship meeting that I am part of. So I've been a dialoguer for more than 25 years now. And in the end, you are a medium also, being a dialoguer, because sometimes I'm talking to the spirits, communicating, and sometimes I say something, and after I say, where did this come from? Why did I say that? And that's when you see that we are all mediums. We all participate in the communications. Now, in the Medium's book, in question 226, Kardec asks if the development of mediumship has any relation to the medium moral development. And the answer from the spirits is no. The faculty is organic and therefore independent of morality. The same does not apply concerning the use, which can be good or bad according to the medium's character. So, again, mediumship is neutral. The use that we do of our mediumship is what makes the difference as a medium. Now, Marcia mentioned the book Disobsession. What's the importance of a mediumship meeting for a Spiritist center? Andrea Luiz, in the introduction of the book Disobsession, which is available in English, says that each Spiritist center must possess and maintain a team of workers of disobsession, at least for its own defense and preservation, in order to assist the victims of spiritual disorientation that roam the doors of the center. That's the introduction of this obsession. So, a Spiritist center serves many purposes, right? The basic concepts of Spiritism is to educate and to console, or maybe the other way around, to console and to educate. People that come to a Spiritist center come in look of, in most cases, consolation. They are struggling, they are suffering, they need help. So that's why it's important for a Spiritist center to have a fraternal assistance work, that you can help those that come to a Spiritist center in search of solution for their problems. The person providing the fraternal assistance, the workers of a Spiritist center that provide fraternal assistance, aren't they mediums also? Because they are going to speak to the person? Well, first, they are going to listen to the people, right? One mistake that we make a lot, we that are working fraternal assistance, is we want to talk and we don't want to listen. And that's the other way around. That should be the correct one. Sometimes the person wants just to vent. They talk of all the problems, you don't say anything, and they leave happy. I solved my problems, and you didn't say anything, right? Because sometimes it's all they need. So, a Spiritist center must have this. Now, these people come and they bring together, they bring their companions, their spiritual companions. And these spiritual companions are kept in the Spiritist center for later assistance. And where is this assistance taking place? In the mediumship meeting, right? So that's what André Luiz mentions here, the defense and preservation of the Spiritist centers. If you don't have a way to help the spirits that come with the incarnate ones to a Spiritist center, you are not doing the work to its full capacity, right? You are doing half of the work. You are leaving the spirits without direction. So the mediumship meeting serves to help and assist those spirits in need. Now, when we talk about mediums, let's go back to mediums. Educating mediumship, right? Because a lot of time we receive people that arrive at the Spiritist center for the first time, especially those that have some type of ostensive mediumship, and they say, oh yes, because I come from Brazil and I spoke with a friend that has a friend that goes to a spirit center, and they told me that I need to develop my mediumship. And I always look at them and say, no, you need to educate your mediumship. That's the first thing. Why do I need to educate my mediumship? Because we need to understand the universe, we need to understand ourselves, we need to understand other evolving creatures, the law of cause and effect. All of this is going to help us educate our mediumship. We'll need to learn about mediumship interaction. How does it work? You know, Luis explained very well the scientific aspect of mediumship, right? This is very important. We need to learn how mediumship works so we can educate our own mediumship. We need to understand about spiritual fluids, right? Because we need to learn about the perispirit. The communication is done perispirit to perispirit. What is the perispirit? Our spiritual body. How does it work? So a medium receives the communication how? Mediums go in trance, and the perispirit detaches a little bit from the physical body, connects with the perispirit, with the communicating spirit, and receives the thoughts, and interprets the thoughts and expresses it. So a communication is never 100% from the spirit. There is always part of it that is the medium that is communicating, because you receive a thought and you use your own words to interpret the thought. You need to understand better about the nature of spirits, right? here and beyond. You need to understand the properties of the perispirit, the relevance of the perispirit in the communications. You need to learn more about the types of mediumship, right? Luis mentioned about different types of mediumships in different parts of the world according to the magnetic fields. Yes. Now, you are a medium, yes, but what type of mediumship you are going to develop, right? And again, the medium may want something, but may not have what the medium wants. So you have psychography, you have psychophony, you have clairaudience, clairvoyance, you have all of them, you have some of them. How do you educate your mediumship if you do not learn about the different types of mediumship? And then we have the technical aspects of mediumship, right? You need to practice. If you are going to develop your mediumship, you need to practice. And with the Spiritist knowledge, what are you going to learn? You are going to learn how to differentiate the types of spirits that are communicating by their fluids, by their vibration. The spirit approaches you and you know the type of spirit that is going to communicate by their vibration. We need to learn, as we are educating ourselves, we need to learn to concentrate, to allow the communication to enter into a trance state and allow the connection between the spirit and ourselves. To understand how the process unfolds, the whole process of mediumship. And the most important thing that we need to learn on the technical aspect, maintain control during the manifestations and analyze the results. We talked a little bit on the Q&A, right, to analyze the results. But the medium needs to be able to control the spirit that is communicating. The spirit may want to scream, the spirit may want to throw the medium to the floor. The medium needs to control. So any time you see a medium that is completely out of control, it's not, you don't blame the spirit, you blame the medium. The medium hasn't learned to control oneself. Now, the medium doesn't have to be a stone, right? No, of course you express the anger, you express the hate, you express the feelings of the spirit, but in a controlled environment and in a controlled way. So if the spirit wants to scream, you don't scream, you talk strongly, angry. If the spirit wants to bang the table or the chair, you control it, you don't allow it. So this is the learning that only comes with educating your mediumship. And the most important part of it that goes all together is the moral aspect of the medium, right? It's essential that the medium undergoes the inner transformation to free themselves from disturbing spirits that are going to disrupt the work. Again, the suffering spirits that are going to communicate, they are allowed to communicate. The disturbing spirits that come only to, the name says, disturb the meeting, needs to be kept away from the meeting. So we need to learn how to be vigilant. We need to learn how to pray, how to conduct ourselves inside the Spirit Center and outside the Spirit Center, and the importance of practicing charity towards others, which will, of course, attract superior spiritual influence. Now, Manuel Filomeno de Miranda says that mediumship education, like the development of any skill, requires time, patience, perseverance, study, and interest. you need to dedicate yourself, 90% perspiration. You need to work on it. Mediumship is a gift, but if you don't work on it, it's going to be a gift that is going to cause you more pain than benefit. Albino Teixeira, in the book Peace and Renewal, he says that the best medium for the spiritual world is not the one who has many faculties, but the one who is always willing to learn and is always ready to serve. You see how important it is, everything that we are saying here. Now, talking about the mediumship meeting, right? A question that I get asked many times is, why we have to have Spiritist mediumship meetings? We help 12 spirits, 15 spirits, and this is a very small number in comparison to the needy spirits. And they are right in that logic, because that's not the objective of the mediumship meeting. You know how many people discarnate throughout the world weekly? Guess. How many people die, to use the lay term, throughout the world in 1 week? 1 million. 150,000 per day. 1 million people die every week. How many mediumship meetings there are in total? So you see that the numbers doesn't match, right? So what's the purpose of the mediumship meeting? It's for us incarnates. We are the beneficiaries of the mediumship meeting. Why? We are learning, educating ourselves, and working on charity, helping spirits in need. And of course, it's not only the 12, because there are many others that are brought to the Spiritist Center that by just listening to the communication, they are helped and assisted. But we need to change this perspective of mediumship meeting being a work to help the spirits. It's not. It's a work to help ourselves. That's why when we had the pandemic, people say, oh, what's going to happen to the spirits where we cannot have mediumship meetings? They're being taken care there. The spiritual world has enough resources to take care of all of them. We are the ones that are going to miss the opportunity of working in the mediumship meeting. In the book Challenges of Mediumship by João Teixeira and Camilo, question 58, Camilo says, it will be more useful, more convenient for the mediumistic worker who cannot attend a Spiritist center for the study of the doctrine and practical activities, meaning if you have to choose the studies. If you can only go to the Spiritist center once a week, or you can only attend one meeting a week, choose a study group, because it's going to help you much more than the other activities of a Spiritist center, because our first responsibility to ourselves is to educate ourselves. And we are going to only be able to educate ourselves by studying, first and foremost. Of course, we're not going to, after we study for some period of time, we are not going to stop there. We know that. We are going to want to do more. But if we have to start somewhere, let's start with studying. We, Brazilians especially, are very used to go to the Spiritist center to receive the passes, to receive the water, and go home without making any more effort to learn, right? I remember there was a person that went to, very long time ago, a person that came to our Spiritist center for the first time in New York. She was Brazilian, and she said, I've been a Spiritist for 36 years, but I never studied. And I said, wow, okay, so you're kind of a Spiritist, right? You're Spiritist in name, but not in practice, right? So, again, Guidelines for Safety, a book I mentioned before that Raul and Divaldo produced together. That is a book of questions and answers about mediumship. That is a wonderful and very interesting book. In question 45, it said, it is advisable that someone experiencing mediumship-related issues be guided to study sessions so that they may first become evangelized, learning the doctrine in order to later channel their mediumistic abilities in a positive direction. Again, the importance of studies. Why we talk so much about the importance of studies? Because when we talk about a mediumship meeting, we want participants of the meeting, people that understand Spiritism, that understand their own responsibilities, understand their own challenges. Again, we are not perfect. We are going to bring to a mediumship meeting our own imperfections, our own challenges, our own shortcomings. But yes, that's why we are incarnated on earth still and are not incarnated in a better world. So nobody is expected to be perfect, but we are expected to give the best that we can according to our abilities. Now, one other question that is commonly asked in a mediumship meeting is, sometimes, and I as a dialoguer experience this time and time over and over, you talk for 10 minutes with the spirit, and then by the end you think, I didn't do any difference here. The spirit hasn't changed anything. Now think of us incarnates. Let's say Marcia comes to me with a problem, and I talk to her with 10 minutes. Was I able to solve her problem? Was I able to? Maybe I directed her into the right path to trying to solve the problem, but I'm not going to fix her in 10 minutes, or she's not going to fix me in 10 minutes. So we cannot fix a spirit problem in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, because it's not recommended it goes more than 15 minutes. But what difference does it make then for the spirits? Well, in the book Madness and Obsession by Manuel Filomeno de Miranda and Divaldo Franco, chapter 11, it says that in the same way that electroshock therapy applied to mental patients, the spirits magnetize through a medium receive a charge of electricity, what is called the word disappeared now, of course. I'll get back to that. So the anemic shock, sorry, there it is. The anemic shock is sometimes the only thing that the spirit needs, because many of these suffering spirits, they are immersed in a mono idea. Hatred, regret, guilty. They can't get rid of their own internal world. And by receiving the anemic shock, it allows them to, first, they are still connected to our vital fluids, right? So they are able to reduce the harmful vibratory change. And also, through the medium, they expel these negative energies. So the medium, we can consider the medium as a magnet, and the spirits in a certain vibratory range, it's when it connects to the medium, you know, it kind of get rid of these negative vibrations that he has and allows them to recharge. So they come, they talk, you think that you didn't make any difference, but as it says in the other book by Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, Path of Liberation, the spirit is brought back later in another meeting, more prepared to have the conversation and to deal with what's going on with them. So an issue that many spirits, the risk of these spirits that are immersed in what we call mono idea, which is the spirit only thinks about one thing, is that eventually, if they keep doing that for a very long time, they lose the perispiritic form, right? They become an ovoid, which André Luiz describes very well in the book in the greater world. And once the spirit loses its perispiritual form, it becomes very hard for them to regain their normality. They normally have to come to a couple of new reincarnations to repair. So by bringing these spirits, connecting them to mediums, they discharge this energy that is very harmful to them, and allows them to see a little bit different, to think a little bit different. And then it allows them to prepare better to deal with their issues. Now, for a medium to be able to deal with that, you need an educated medium. We are going to go back always to the same, right? Because the medium receives this spirit and receives this shock, feels bad, feels very uncomfortable. It releases the fluids, treats the spirit, treats the medium. When it finishes the meeting, the medium is feeling better, is feeling relieved, and it helped the spirit. And the spirits, normally you have one spirit communicating, and some spirits that are going through the same issue, that have the opportunity to listen, they don't need that much the contact with the medium. So the one that is connected to the medium is the one in most need of this anemic shock. But the others can by just listening to what's going on, the conversation, the dialogue, and the spirit, they can benefit from this communication. So, the importance of the mediumship meeting and the mechanics of it, right? Normally, the recommendation is to have a meeting with no more than 14 people, right? You can do up to 20 people if you divide the group in two. Guidelines for safety again. You have dialogue, the director of the meeting, that can be a dialoguer or not. In our case, the director of the meeting is a dialoguer. It's between me and another colleague that works at the SGNY. We have mediums, as many as we can deal with, right? Recommended 2 communications per medium, at most 3. If one day you have only 2 mediums, you can have 3 communications per medium. If you don't, you have 2. Number of mediums also, you cannot have 10 mediums because you don't even have time for 1 communication per medium. If you have too many mediums, you divide the group in 2. Using the same room, a different room. Here, for instance, you have many rooms, so you can do 2 different mediumship meetings in different rooms. But it's important to have those that, what we call mediums of support, which are mediums, not ostensive mediums, not dialoguers, but are there just to bring the balance, the vibratory energies to a level that allows everyone to be connected and in good vibrations, right? One of the challenges of a mediumship meeting is to keep yourself focused and concentrated. It's very easy for us to get distracted, right? When you are in the middle of the dialogue with the spirit, you are focusing on the dialogue, so you don't get distracted. But when someone else is doing the dialogue and you are just listening and trying to send our good vibrations, it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to think about, the problems that you have on your daily lives and what you are supposed to do after the meeting. How do you deal with that? Don't start feeling guilty. It happens to everybody. Recognize the problem. Bring yourself back to the meeting as many times as you need. Don't be too much worried if it happens 20 times during the meeting. As long as you recognize and bring yourself back, focus on trying to refocus on the group, on the discussion, on the communications, eventually it's going to become more natural, and it will reach a point that it will become completely natural. I was reading again from the book from Raul, the Guidelines for Safety, right? An example that I thought it was very interesting, right? How something becomes a habit, how something becomes something that it's part of you. Think about reading, right? Once you learn to read, you cannot not read. I look at this sign, it's immediate, it's automatic, I read. You cannot unlearn. I cannot look at it and decide not to read, right? So once we make these things become habit, these trainings that we do, and we do with mediumship, with meditation, with all these different challenges that we have, all falling into the 90% perspiration, once they become a habit, they are part of us. We no longer need to worry with them. So for us to be good workers, we have to work hard. And where life takes us, we allow it to happen, right? We may end up in a place that there is no Spiritist center, and we open a Spiritist center, right? We may be a medium in a place that there are no mediums around or no Spiritist centers around. We start our own work in different ways. But the important thing is, do we really want it? Is something that we want to be part of our life? And again, there is no problem in saying, no, I'm not ready, I don't want it, I want to do something else. There is someone that goes to our, that has been studying with us for 20 years, and we invited him to the mediumship meeting after a certain point, and he said, okay. He went there once, he went there twice, and then after the second one, he said, you know what, this is not for me, I'm really not interested that much. It was interesting, I was curious to hear, but now that I saw, I don't want to be part of it. He continued studying with us till today. That's not his interest, and that's very important for us. Let's focus on what we care. Let's direct our focus and our energies on something that can be productive for us and for others. And if we do that, then we are on the right path of our moral and intellectual evolvement. That was it for me. Thank you very much for your attention. I did it exactly in time, right? Thank you.